Well, the Friends reunion special is out and all the rage, and thus Matthew Perry's mental health has come into question yet again. I'm here to talk about how I think we should be careful with our discourse in matters such as this in the future.
I'm JT. I'm in my mid-30s, have a 10-year media career, and nearly a decade of sobriety. So how did another middle-class kid turn into a blackout drunk and a heroin junkie? More importantly, how did it change, and where do we go from here? This is my story.
Okay, so first of all, the reunion was awesome. I'm not even like A1 Friends fan. I watched the show when it was on. I've watched it on reruns and streaming here and there since. I think it's great, but I'm not like I've seen every single episode and know every line. But I thought the reunion was fantastic. I think they have set and raised the bar for any show that's trying to do a reunion. I'm sure that Will Smith looked at that and thought, oh, I could have done that. I can't believe. Actually, I can believe. I guess I was just a little surprised that the same forces that were work for so many years on the show, that same care still went in to the reunion. It was very well done. But thus, Matthew Perry, whose addiction and struggles with sobriety have been in the news for decades now, ever since he's been in the limelight. Now it is all getting drummed up again. There were many comments on social media as the reunion was first airing. Mostly, and I dug through a lot of it, mostly people, from what I could see, expressing concern for him based on his looks and the matter of his slurred speech. But there were also some derogatory remarks and just flatly plain people assuming and calling him out for being high during the special. So since then, several articles have come out. Several people involved with the production have come out in his defense. And most recently, news has come out that the reason for his slurred speech was because of an emergency dental procedure prior to the show. I'm really not concerned about why his speech was slurred. To be honest with you, I didn't even notice that his speech was slurred, and I'm an addict. And of course, it was going to be on my mind. Matthew Perry, how's he doing? I didn't think he looked any worse than anyone else. I mean, Jen Aniston hasn't aged a day, which is just crazy. But aside from that, I thought, all of them looked like they're in their, pushing their 60s now, which they are. Like, people change. They get older. They don't look like they did when they were 20. So I didn't have any thoughts relative to that. But what I wanted to get into here was, I think we need to be really cognizant of how we manage our discourse in situations like this. I totally understand people being concerned for Matthew Perry, wanting the best for him, loving him, and hoping that he's okay. But what I want to do a little thought exercise here, because, and by the way, hold me to this as well. Obviously, I have used several celebrity stories now for jumping off points to talk about my own experience. And I really do try not to speculate about what another person is going through, because God knows I've never walked in their shoes. What I do is, point out things in what is public that I notice, how I relate to them. But please hold me to it, because I think this is very important as we go forward here. I think we really need to be careful with how we talk about those who have been public with their mental health issues. I'm not saying that everyone needs to be, walking on eggshells around people like this. Look, you go into the limelight, you become an actor, celebrity. Everybody knows that part of what comes with it, even now just being like an internet celebrity, part of what comes with it is people are going to talk. There's going to be negative comments. Specifically when it comes to mental health, though, and people who have been very public about their struggles. Now, I'm not going to go as far to say that mental health is like, addiction is like cancer, and you wouldn't talk about someone's cancer in a derogatory way, or you wouldn't criticize someone for their slurred speech if you knew that they were going through chemotherapy. Addiction is a disease, but I don't think it's fair. I'm not one of those people who thinks it's fair to compare it to something like cancer. I will compare it to whatever I want to compare it to privately, with my sponsor or as I deal with it, because sometimes we need to take it as seriously as the most serious disease personally, but I'm not going to put that out into the world with celebrity. However, I do think we need to be cognizant of how we talk about it, specifically on social media, and here's why. Someone like Matthew Perry, who has some of the reason he's been public is because he got in very public issues. And that happens. When you're a celebrity, you have to address those things. But other than that, he has been public about his sobriety. And by the way, I know plenty of people, most of the people I know in sobriety, who have never said a word publicly about their sobriety. Now, most people I know aren't celebrities, or don't even have a platform like I do, being a local media personality. But it is perfectly possible to go through your entire life and have decades of sobriety being private about it all the time. However, when someone comes forward and is public about their struggles and has a public platform, they have chosen to do that. And they have chosen to put themselves out there and open themselves up to more criticism, discourse, discussion, in hopes that whoever they may help, who might hear that or see that, however it may help themselves, those things will far outweigh, in hopes, okay, that those things will far outweigh any of the negative that comes from it. So I think we just need to realize that when we talk publicly on social media, wondering what's going on with someone's sobriety, the reason that it's in our heads is because they've been so brave as to be public about their sobriety. Let me tell you, there are many celebrities who are sober and have great links to sobriety who you have no idea that they're sober. And there's some who just don't talk about it so much that it's just not in our heads when we see them. But someone like Matthew Perry has been so public that every time we see him, we are going to either consciously or subconsciously be going through something in our heads about, I hope he's doing great. He looks great. I guess he's going great with his sobriety. That's just going to come with the territory with them being public about it. But what I'm saying is, let's be careful about taking the next step and putting it out on social media. Support is fantastic. But what I'm saying is, think about the next time that someone like that wants to come forward and be public about it, and how detrimental this could be to that next person. Seeing all the conjecture and a lot of negativity about it, because to be frank, as addicts, we don't owe the public anything. We don't need to be public about anything, but some of us choose to do it. I chose to do it after 9 years, okay? We choose to do it because we think it'll help someone else, and we think at this point in our sobriety, it'll be helpful to us. Now, as I always try to do, I always try to use examples by own experience, right? I don't want to speculate about them. I just want to use it as a jumping off point to give you my experience. I have never been in someone like Matthew Perry's shoes. I've never been that level of celebrity stardom, been on a show that big, anything like that. But what I can tell you is that years back, and I wasn't fully public with my sobriety yet, but one person who did know about my sobriety and my struggles in the past was my direct boss. And I had never given this person any reason to doubt me or to think that I might relapse, or that even if I did, that it might affect my work. Never once given any reason. And I never, ever missed work. I never get sick. I drive myself to take care of myself, take care of my immune system so that I don't get sick. And one day I got sick. And I've gone to work. I've played hurt many times, okay? I go to work unless, in this case, I could not get out of bed. I had been throwing up. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I had to call my dad to come pick me up and take me to the doc in the box. And they said it was so bad that I needed to go to the hospital. And so finally, when I realized I wasn't going to be able to go into work, I called my boss, who, again, I'd given no reason to think that I would ever be suspect of anything. And the very first thing he asked me was, "Are you drinking again?" Now, I don't want to go into, what's up with this person that they would ask that. I just want to bring up that because I had made my past struggles, even just that public, it wasn't really public, but just for someone else to know. And that was the first thing they asked. How do you think that made me feel? Well, it didn't make me feel good. It was very tough for me. It was very frustrating to go, man, I can't even really be sick without that question coming up. Now, part of this comes with the territory. Part of this comes with the territory of having a lifetime of addiction and tearing down things all around my life. And part of the dealing with that forevermore, part of picking up those pieces is going to be, sometimes there's going to be moments like that. But I just want to put that out there. I think whatever discussions you may want to have with friends and family, I think that's great. I think we should ask questions of each other. I think you should, if you know someone who's been through it, or a mental health professional or a doctor, I think asking questions and having those discussions with them, I'm all about it. And I'm not even saying we shouldn't talk about it at all. All I'm saying is, let's take a moment before we have that discourse online with someone who might be struggling. We don't even know if they're struggling in the moment. Let's just take a minute and think about why we're even able to have those questions in the first place, which is because this person has been so brave as to tackle some of these issues in the public eye, and I'm not saying that every person who deals with it publicly, that all of their intentions are altruistic, but inherently being public is brave and could help someone else. So all I'm saying is, let's be cognizant of that before we start the discourse online. Now, on that note, let's get the mail. Our mail today ties in to this, okay? And I first want to say, I know I've addressed this many times, but 99.99% of the feedback I have gotten on these videos has been so rewarding. It is all positive. I'm so thankful for it. It has been, it motivates me to do another one. Look, I do all of this on my own time. I work like a dog. And I've got a lot of things that I'm working through in my personal life. I'm maintaining this house all by myself, all that stuff. And what motivates me to keep carving out time to film and edit and post and share these videos is the fantastic feedback that I've gotten from you. Most of these videos get a couple hundred views here and there, but every once in a while, the one we did about divorce a couple of videos ago, that thing's pushing 3,000. And the feedback, the views are great, but the feedback, the comments below the videos, the DMs I get, the comments on social media about the video clips, so positive. And I want to share all the positives. So I was hesitant even to share this piece of mail because it is not positive, but it ties into what we're talking about today. And I think even though it's negative, it's something that I really want to address with you. So let's get into this mail. This comes from E. Compton. And E. Compton commented on YouTube, "Boy, that anonymous part really doesn't apply if you have a podcast and need content. Shouldn't it though?" a little bit of an attitude in this comment. It is a question, and thus I'm going to answer it. And first of all, I don't even really consider this a podcast. I hate the term because like everybody's got a podcast. We don't need another one in the world, I don't think. But like, you know, I'm doing these videos about my personal experience with sobriety. I don't really have a name for it, but that's what it is. It's not about needing content. I promise you that. But we've been over my motivations, haven't we? But this is really important because trust me, in E. Compton, you're not wrong to bring it up and ask this question. And I want to set the record straight, but also I want to say this is something that I wrestle with in my own head about, you know, how am I going to regret this in 10 years that like all of my dirty laundry is on the internet? Maybe. This is a risk that I took, you know? There's a reason that I didn't talk publicly, even though I was in the media for 9 years before this. I don't know. Maybe I do. I'm not thinking I'm going to, but I might. And beyond that, I really try. I think about every piece of content I do, and I go through it. And you know what? Even with as meticulous as I'm being, I'm going to get it wrong at some point. And one of you is going to reach out to me and go, JT, you know, I think you didn't really hold yourself to your own standard on that one. And I'm trying not to let that happen. But I think I've got to be very delicate with all of this stuff. And again, I want to always try to speak from my own experience because it's the only thing I really have the right to speak about. And to your question, E. Compton, let's get into the question and its meat here. Again, boy, that anonymous part really doesn't apply if you have a podcast and need content. Shouldn't it, though? Shouldn't being anonymous, the anonymous part of, I guess he's referring to AA or NA or any of the A's. Shouldn't it, though? First of all, I say on every video that I post that I do not speak for any recovery organization. I do not speak for AA, NA, any of the A's. I don't speak for a recovery center. I just speak for recovery. And in fact, I'm not even speaking directly, like I have the experience of because I got sober through AA, okay? And I got sober through an outpatient rehab facility. So I am speaking through that lens, but I am broadly talking about mental health, addiction, and recovery here. I'm not saying that AA is the only way or therefore the only lens to view recovery through. Far from it. But, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. There's a lot of meat on this bone. The point is, as far as anonymous goes, when I walk in to an anonymous meeting, anyone who walks in there has their anonymity protected. We are all walking in with a social contract that we are not going to speak about what happens in that room. As far as someone else is concerned, everyone else in the room is concerned outside of that room. My personal anonymity is my own to either protect through that vessel or to open up and be public about. And I have chosen to forego my anonymity and chosen to be public for the reasons that I've outlined numerous times now. But the point is that anonymity is for the person to elect or not elect. If someone else walks into a meeting, if I walk into a meeting, I know that my anonymity is protected by someone else. No one else is going to go, or I trust that at least. Certainly there are times when it gets, it's not a perfect organization. Like certainly there are times when that happens. I don't think I've ever broken that rule. And I trust most of the people that I go to meetings with that they're not going to break that rule because I go to meetings with people with a lot of long-term sobriety. But the point is that it is my right to be able to talk about my experience if I want to. And I do. And I promise you, I go to great lengths to question myself. Okay, what are the trigger points? What are the things that I probably shouldn't talk about in videos? There is some conversation. I've talked about this before about, at what level in the world of news and media should sobriety be talked about? Well, there's how much should AA be talked about? And, if you look, I don't even, you've never seen me literally read through the text of AA. And I don't really think that's my place to do that. I know very big celebrity advocates of the program who literally have done IG lives just reading the big book. So it's out there. I am far from, and by the way, I don't judge anyone from doing that. I think these are conversations we need to have. I think that some of the anonymity stuff, as far as the organization, not personal anonymity, a lot of that was, they came up with that 100 years ago. And it was a totally different ball game. I mean, if you were an alcoholic and you were branded an alcoholic, that was like having leprosy. It was a totally different ball game. Now, I think because of people being willing to talk about their struggles, and again, not going line for line through a different recovery organization and talking about exactly what happens there publicly, but being honest about our own personal struggles and triumphs. I think because of that, we are in a totally different place today. And so the point is, E. Compton, and thank you for your question. What I talk about here is because I have elected to be transparent and honest. After 9 years, I felt like, after talking to a lot of people that I trust, I felt like this was the right step for me. And I have so far been so beyond rewarded for that. Then I could have, this is a dinky little channel so far, guys. The growth early has been really nice, but we're not making huge waves here yet or anything. Maybe one day we do, that'd be great. But my point is, just the feedback I've gotten so far, with just a few views here and there and subscribers here and there, has been worth every dollar I poured into this, every hour, again, of my own time, filming and editing on this that I've done, that I would do it over again 1,000,000 times. But the point is that this is my story to tell, and I'm choosing to tell it publicly right now. And maybe one day I'll regret that. But to E. Compton's question and point, please hold me accountable. I'm only here to talk about my own experience. Yes, I will use things that are out there in the public as a springboard to talk about my own experience. If you want to be part of the mail, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, you can certainly feel free to comment on the video itself, or you can reach out to me at any of the following handles. You can DM me, just let me know when you DM me. If you want to have a private conversation, I'm happy to do that. Anything that's made on a public post is fair game, but feel free to reach out anytime, and we'll see you next time. Hey family, if you like what we're doing here and you want to see more, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Share it with someone who you think might benefit from watching this, and feel free to comment below. Love.